Talk Weekly.
We're live. We Talk Weeklies after the talk on WPP MLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
And we are definitely in the house. We got Lady Esther. What's up, Lady Esther? I'll make sure your mic is on. What's up, Lady Esther?
I'm on number 3 today.
You want number 3 today? Let's give me something.
What's good, y'all?
Give me something.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you on it. No, you sure that's 3 or 4?
No, this is 3. Let me see who it is.
All right,
Nope. Lies.
okay.
It's 4.
It's 4. There we go.
But they switched it.
Yeah, there we go.
They switched it on me.
I figured that. I figured something was going on over there. All right, so we
I'm
talk
here.
weekly, y'all. Lady S. Dot is definitely in the building. Got Classy Lady Sparkle is out today, so she's handling some personal business. We got the Sizzle definitely in the building, and we have someone with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for. That's like Big Sis. She holding it down, doing some great things in the community, and you already know. If you in the community, I love you, right? So we're very hard on people who ask for our support and stuff like that. Because if we don't see you in the streets, we don't mess with you like that. We want to see you really doing some things for the community. And this young lady right here, today I'm super excited for, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the work that she's doing. So, before we get started, why don't you let me know, how was your day? How was your day, sis?
I had a quiet day. I was at home getting some things done around the house, so it was pretty quiet and chill. And then I made my way here, so I'm happy to be here.
Okay, I'll give you a applause for that. No doubt. What about you, Classy Lady? Well, she's usually the next person I go
right.
to. I'm so used to her being here. All right, what's up? Lady Esther, holla at me. You here?
I'm good, man. Had a good day, productive day. I've been running since I got up this AM.
Okay.
But I love when I have productive days. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I got something done. It's all those things, it's little things that's been in the back of your mind. And you're just like, I got to do this now.
Yeah.
You can sigh because it's all going.
Woosah.
That feels good.
Woosah. No doubt. Well, that's great news. You know what else is great news? We get to go to...
And you skip over your day.
My day was...
Always.
I'm worn out on my day right now. I lost my voice and everything. But, I'm excited.
Yeah, your favorite part.
My favorite part of the show. It's the interviews.
interviews.
And why is it my favorite segment of the show? Because I get to talk to the great people. So without further ado, Lauren, let me know, who do we have today?
So we have the beautiful Ms. Tanisha Bejou. Did I say that right?
That was perfect.
Yeah, okay. I feel like I need an accent to be able to do it justice because it's such a beautiful name. But she joined the Committee of 70 in September 2023 and serves as program manager for their voter engagement and public education initiatives in Philadelphia and across the Commonwealth. A Teach for America alumni, Tanisha spent 13 years teaching middle school students middle school social studies, and has always had a passion for encouraging active citizenship.
That's right.
She is committed to empowering individuals to participate in the democratic process and has served as a judge of elections since 2020.
Let's go.
She graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Rutgers University
She's smart. She's smart.
with a BA in English, and later earned a master's in urban education from the University of Pennsylvania.
As did I.
Yes.
From Temple, though.
Yes.
I knew I loved you.
Oh, wow.
But the Committee of 70 is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that has promoted, supported, and facilitated government ethics and election integrity for a century. 70 advocates for more free, fair, safe, and secure elections and works to ensure that every eligible voter votes, is informed when they vote, and votes with confidence. So welcome to the show. Give a warm welcome to Miss Tanisha Beju.
Let's go. How are you? How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're excited for you to be here. It's like my sis right here. Free, fair, what is it? Free, fair, secure, and safe.
Yes.
Unbelievable. We're going to talk a little bit about that because I never knew that, which is the reason why I think this will be an excellent and dynamic interview, because a lot of the things that's going on in the community today and in the world and the nation, right? But also just simply because we have been talking a lot about civics and engaging, right? Engaging our young folks, engaging our community. And we constantly or often hear about C70, right? So for those who don't necessarily understand what the Committee of 70 is, can you kind of explain that a little bit more? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Committee of 70 has been around for 120 years. They started as effort to combat corruption in government, and this is around the same time that this is happening in Chicago, New York, so it's not specific to Philadelphia itself. But growing out of just focusing on City Hall, it was really about what we've really been focused on are free, fair elections, making sure that everyone who is eligible to vote knows how to vote, feels comfortable at their polling place. And my role in that is really about voter education.
Right. So why, all right, so let's start there, voter education, and then we'll build, because I want to talk a little bit more and engage in civics. But why is voter education important?
How much time we got again?
Why?
So often. So earlier today, Committee of 70 was invited to table at an event for Council Member Jeffrey Young Jr.
Okay.
And we had some voter registration tables nearby, and people are hearing all the time, you got to register to vote, come out and vote, make sure to vote. And people hear that message. People have got it. People are like, all right, like, I'll get around to it, I'll do it. But then they get into the voting booth and they're like, who are these people? Like, they know what's at the top of the ticket. But down ballot, which is closer, I almost don't like the down ballot term. It's more of like the people who are nearest and dearest to us, like knowing who those people are, and also knowing the relevance. Like, why do I care about these different offices? That's what I love to do. So I have a few different training sessions that I do. One is connected to our amazing guide called How Philly Works. And I do a presentation that really just like guides people through that book itself.
Okay.
And it talks about the mayor's role, city council. It talks about our $6.3 billion annual budget. Like, where is that money going? Where is it coming from? I definitely know the line item on my paycheck where it comes from. But then also how to be a poll worker. And then the session that I've been doing the most this election cycle is what's on my ballot. And so I go through and I talk about the major races like Attorney General.
Yeah.
So many people are like, they see the commercials, but really knowing like beyond Law and Order, which, you know, everybody's got that in their, yeah, you know, you fall asleep to it, wake up, still on, you know, because there's a million seasons. But Attorney General is so important. Everyone has had someone come to their door saying, I could save you some money on your utility bill. Or you get a text message saying, that package hasn't been delivered. Click this link. And so consumer protection is a major part of the Attorney General's role as well. There's also, when we think about vulnerable populations, not Philadelphia, but Pennsylvania has a third largest percentage of elders in the United States. We have over 2 million elders who are 65 and older. Not trying to shame nobody with the 65. I'm just stating the facts. But we have a senior protection unit that the Attorney General is responsible for, trying to make sure that this population isn't taken advantage of from, fraud or from the health facilities that they might be in. And so these are things that really do impact our everyday life, making sure that the money that we work hard for isn't taken from us, making sure that our seniors are taken care of and get to live out their last days and with dignity. And these are the things that I like to tell people of like, this is why we need to make sure whoever we vote for, because Committee of 70 is nonpartisan. We want to make sure you vote your values, but we need to make sure we know, why do we care about this office, so that we know who to put in it.
Jeez, there's so much there to unpack.
I'm so sorry. I get so passionate about
No, I love it because that's what the purpose of this conversation is, because I wanted to talk, because you talked about vulnerable populations, you talked about the down ballot, which I'm very interested in to talk more about, and just civic education in general. But let's go back to the down ballot, because I think some people feel, or there has been so much advertisement on literally just the presidential campaign, right? No one else knows what the heck else is going on, right? So for those who are watching, can you just talk a little bit more about the other people who are just as important in our
Absolutely.
community that we should kind of pay attention to? Yes, sure.
Absolutely. So when government can be so confusing because we have local, state, and federal, and then there's all the different levels that are in there. So it's just overwhelming. And sometimes when things are overwhelming, people, for better or for worse, are like, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
Meaning never. And so the local government elections, that was all on last fall's ballot. And so right now we have state and federal. And state government's so hard. I often say in these sessions I do, it's the middle child of government. Like, local government is adorable. It's right there. It's right next to you. You know, it's calling for you all the time. And so you care about local government. And then federal is like the eldest child who's the smartest, maybe has the most money at least, like, so elder daughter. So that gets a lot of attention. But the middle child, state government, in addition to the row offices, the three statewide offices of Attorney General, Treasurer. Pennsylvania has $150 billion in assets. Like, somebody's got to make sure that money is used right. And then Auditor General, we need transparency for that. But then when we look at our legislature, and we have the second largest legislature in the country, the largest full-time with 253 people elected, right? It's huge. There's so many people. And we do have those two roles, PA rep and PA senator, on our ballot. Why do we care about those two? Well, when we think about who's making laws, we have our city council members, and there's 17 on a local level. And our district council people, the 10 district council people, represent about 160,000 people. But a PA rep represents 60,000. They have far fewer constituents, and they're not only in Harrisburg, they're also in our neighborhoods.
Right.
So they can help you with getting a senior SEPTA card. They can help you with birth certificates, death certificates. They can help you get things notarized for free. They are there to help you, and they have constituent representatives that you can call for things that you need. And that's what they're there for. And people don't know that they have these local advocates who have far fewer constituents than our district council people even. And then like a PA senator represents about 250,000. So they're like, if you think of who is closest to you, you have your PA rep who's in the neighborhood, you have your district council people, then you have your PA senator. All of these electeds are there to represent us and to help us, and we should know their names. And to do that, shameless plug, Committee of 70 has a Find Your Elected. Yes, I would be remiss if I didn't. We have a Find Your Elected where you can see who are these people. Go to their websites. I didn't even mention all of the things they can do for you. And getting to know these people via like calling or email is just so important.
So, wow, so much, man. so why do you think there's so much promotion on, say, for example, the presidential campaign, which I already know they have the money, but the assumption is that they are the ones that the people, quote unquote, need locally, when literally, like you said, it might be a PA state rep that if you're having problem in your street, down the block, maybe trash dumping or something like that, that's who you need to go to. So how do we as a full community start to give the correct information on or to these vulnerable populations that these are the correct people that you need to go to if you're having X, Y, and Z issue? Where can they find that? Where can they locate? How can they get that information?
Yeah, this is such a wonderful tip. Oh my goodness, thank you. Through our wonderful grant from Every Voice, Every Vote, we have a guide called, right? Wonderful, so grateful. We have this resource called How Philly Works, and we eventually want to expand it into how wards work. That's the next thing that we're working on to get even
I love that,
closer to the people, and then how states work so that state government is no longer middle child. But we were able to give this guide, which is just 24 pages, 12 pages, like back and front. We were able to give 300 to all of our council people, and then Councilmember Young has gotten 600. They are giving those out to all of their constituents. We have these infographics too that explain what the mayor's role is with public education, public safety. We were able to give those in English, Spanish, and Chinese to all branches of our library, as well as over 170 rec centers. And so that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that we explain to people how local government works. Like, how does Philly work? And again, you mentioned that I was a teacher for 13 years, and yet I still learn so much from this resource. And again, we have a presentation that goes along with it, and I was able to give that presentation to Philadelphia community school leaders, and so they have invited us into high schools to do this for kids. And we have a wonderful group of volunteers from Penn's Law School through their Democracy Leadership Program, and they are going in so that it's young people talking to young people, because that's really the most important part. Like Committee of 70, we're a small, lean organization that is all about giving resources to trusted messengers so that we can have other people out there just talking to people in their neighborhoods with about issues that they value, and sometimes in the language that is most appropriate for that neighborhood. So that's what we're trying to do, and starting with Philly, really making sure people understand how our city works.
Yeah, fantastic. You had a question?
Oh, I did have a question that's I guess not in line with that, but just talking about when it comes to safety and secure elections. I just wanted to know, have there been any instances of maybe voter intimidation, things like that? Because we're seeing that in other states and cities, and I heard about a documentary that's out that followed people who were basically antagonized by these groups that have been developed, and they go I guess when they're out voting, they call them and say your ballot is not right, or they're basically intimidating them and giving them a hard time. Has C70 come across any of that, and if so, how do you handle that?
So I am, specifically as a poll worker myself, I've been blessed to never have that. I have a great committee person, 2 committee people that are wonderful in our area, and so locally, like, I've been really blessed not to have that. And then what we do as an organization, we have poll worker information sessions that we have, as well as poll watcher information sessions, because for Philadelphia itself, we need 8,500 poll workers for every election. And so across the state, and our poll worker info sessions and poll watcher sessions, and I'll get to the distinction in a second, our trainings or info sessions are good statewide to just try and build awareness, even if people eventually or ultimately can't take that day off because it's not yet a federal holiday, maybe one day. we'll work on daylight savings time first, and then we'll go to election day. So we need to make sure that people understand how the system works. And so we have info sessions for people to feel confident in what they do. And part of the poll worker training now includes a de-escalation section. We were lucky to have some training from Broad Street Ministry, now Broad Street Love. They have a really robust training. And so they came in and gave us some really great tips and techniques. And ultimately, it boils down to the same thing as middle school. You can only really control yourself. You're just trying to keep everyone calm. And so we definitely don't want to put anyone in harm's way. But to address that fear and uncertainty that you were talking about, we want to make sure that people have strategies for that day. But then there's also poll watchers. So you have poll watchers who are coming into the precinct to represent, they're representing a candidate or a party. So you might have like a presidential poll watcher, like someone from that party or that representing that candidate, or you'll have someone from the Democratic or Republican Party, and they're coming in to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And we want that. We being not only Committee of 70, but also the city commissioners who run the elections. We want to make sure that there's transparency so that everyone's doing what they're supposed to and everyone feels confident in the system. And so we have trainings for them. They're allowed to ask questions about how many people have voted yet, because they really want to turn out the vote as well. Like everyone ultimately, and this might just, I really hope it's not me, but I really do believe like everyone deeply is good. Everyone wants good things to happen. And so poll watchers want people to turn out. Poll workers want to help voters, vote. And so when all sides know what's happening without the fear mongering, without any kind of biased language, then it does work smoothly.
Yeah, so part of, or one of the questions that I constantly ask people like yourself in leadership positions are, what do you tell someone who maybe is just over voting or feels that voting isn't for me, voting, it doesn't make any difference, it doesn't change, or X, Y, and Z? I hear it all, right? So what would you say to someone if they say, I don't want to vote because my vote don't count? What would you tell a person like that?
Yeah, it definitely depends on who I'm talking to. One of the common refrains that I hear is like, oh, like nothing really comes of it. And when I hear that, I just remind people that democracy is like any living thing. It can be healthy or unhealthy. Right. And so there are those day after day healthy habits that you have to do, and we do them, whether it's brushing our teeth, going to the gym, like eating vegetables, drinking enough water. Like there are the tasks that you have to do. And then when you stop, that's when you notice that it has you are becoming unhealthy. And the same with democracy. We have to do these daily habits, or these bi-yearly habits of voting. We need to vote during the primary so that we nominate the people that we want to see in the fall. And we definitely have to come out in the fall. It's great to be a poll worker. It's great to be a block captain. It's great to be a committee person. We have to do these things, or else it becomes unhealthy. And we see when there's lots of rigorous participation, we definitely see those summertime bodies, right? And so we see that in a very healthy way in our democracy too. And then we definitely see that slump when people aren't participating. And so people don't always see the immediate impact. When you start running, you don't see it right away. People have voted in a few cycles and they're like, nothing's changed. I'm going to opt out. And it's a lifelong commitment. But I do understand that, when people feel like, I've heard people say to me well, my grandma was block captain and she did that for a long time. And we still have problems, but you need new, and not always new young people, but you need people to constantly be in this cycle. Yeah, absolutely, to stay involved. And it can't just be one person and then bad things happen. They do, and that's why we have to be vigilant.
Yeah. I like that you brought that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's important. What you said was very important because you want to see those new faces. You want to see those faces because it makes you and your community feel more like a community.
Absolutely.
Everybody always comes out and shows up for the primaries, right? But we need everybody to understand how important it is to come out for the smaller ones, the local ones, right? Because what do we always say? It starts at home, right? So if it starts at home, we got to start with our community, start with our city before we can get to the whole country, right? But let's start here. But I think what you were talking about, earlier, they're not coming out because they don't know them. They don't know them. So how do we get them to know who they are? I mean, all of it, from the voting for the judges, and not just mayor and governor and senators, but everybody.
Great question.
How do we get them out?
I think a lot of it comes, not to put too much onus on like block captains and committee people, but I think for me, I was so lucky when I moved from one neighborhood to another. I had one committee person introduce me to another and like help me to learn who are the people in my neighborhood. Right. And I think pandemic really kept a lot of people inside. I also bought a house and I'm like, I'm gonna stay inside. This mortgage is causing me to stay inside. I'm gonna enjoy this inside. But that kept people from being on their stoops, talking to people, and then you lose that connectedness of knowing who are the people besides the block party, like besides the summer piece, and even those have gone down in city numbers. I saw that in the Inquirer over the summer of the number of permits requests have continued to decrease over time, and we need to make sure that we are talking to each other, and not just in those instances, but both primary and in the general. So I think it really does have to be us just coming outside and being vulnerable and talking to one another, because that makes you connected. Then you want good things for people around you, and it's not just about you. It's about the block.
So I wanna talk a little bit about that, because I agree. I agree that we need to talk to people and get people out. What I have been seeing, however, is this something that's very new, and it's like this interesting energy that's very argumentative and centered around vitriol between like two parties, right? And it's this idea that, well, you're black, so you got to vote this way, or you're a Democrat, so you can't do this, right? Or how could a black person be a Republican, or something like that, right? So I'm curious to get your perspective on, when I say us as a community, I'm talking black folk right now, right? Us as a community, is there this unwritten narrative that we must vote a certain type of way, and are you starting to see kind of an influx in folks moving to a Republican kind of perspective, because y'all nonpartisan, right? And so I'm sure you have a mix of all, right? So what are you seeing on that horizon of Democrats, Republican, black folks, different parties, kind of? I know that's a loaded question, but I'm interested to hear your perspective.
Yeah. So when I am talking to people in many different parts of Philly and then the Collier counties as well, I'm always talking about our interactive voter guide and how you type in your address to find your candidates and you vote your values. Right. And so I always say, I have my own, and I have my own thoughts, and many of you may make assumptions based off of what you see about what those are. But I really, not that I don't and myself like to talk about my positions, I definitely do. And the friends and family are probably laughing to themselves as once they hear me say that. But when I talk to people about our tool, it's really because I want people to feel that they can do that research themselves and vote how they feel. Right. And so I think that kind of like bleeds into the sessions that I do, where like people feel like, oh, this is good and no one's going to judge me, because there is that feeling of
Yeah.
judgment so much. And the judgment that I hear, and I'll come back to the partisan part, but the judgment that I think comes across the most is that people feel badly about not knowing, about being quote unquote ignorant about these things. And I tell them, as an elder millennial, I was really lucky not to have the football coach be my history teacher in high school, even though Governor Walls was an assistant coach and a social studies teacher, and I'm sure he was great. But for so many people, it was open up the textbook, read that chapter, keep it moving, don't bother me. And so unless you had interest in it or your family had interest in it, then maybe it's just small in Schoolhouse Rock, right? You might have just have these small ideas just kind of like floating around in your head. And so often that's what I get. And so I try to tell people there are no barriers to entry here. Like we're just gonna have fun. I have little like pause point questions in my presentation. I throw out fruit snacks. Like I have a little cartoon Steve Harvey that comes up, and then it's like, all right, I need a volunteer. Like I want there to be joy and happiness, and that's the anxiety that people have when I'm talking to them, is that they're more just at a loss for what's happening. And so on a partisan level, that, I don't know. I don't really feel, for me specifically, like that has come up in my space. But I think that's because I try to make sure also with through Committee of 70 that it's a very welcoming place.
Good.
Because
Yes.
we're talking about language learners, we're talking about new citizens, and we just did a panel for foreign-born voters, and they face massive amounts of discrimination. And so my concern is just like being a mama at the polling place, being like, everyone's welcome. Like, I want you to vote your values. And so that's the space that I inhabit.
We usually try to amplify vulnerable communities and issues that happen. Would you mind talking a little bit more about that situation that they feel, I guess, discriminated or bullied or whatever? Because I want to make sure that if that is an issue, we need to identify it so we can find support for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple weeks ago, Committee of 70 had a panel discussion co-sponsored by the Welcoming Center and the Museum of the American Revolution. And if you didn't know, the Museum of the American Revolution is amazing, but they also have these classes, these citizenship classes, that are free to help people study for the citizenship exam, which is 100 questions. I used to give it to my students, and it was really great for the school that I worked at. It was a bilingual school, and so some of the parents and some of the teachers were studying for the exam themselves, so kids got to go home and practice with their families. So we had a discussion with many amazing partners. We are so blessed at Committee of 70 to have great partnerships with SABA, with Asian Americans United. And so we had these leaders that represent different groups throughout the city just talk about whether it's the same kind of feelings of apathy, but more of like, how is it going to help me? I have different concerns coming here. So getting to those issues, language barriers that people may feel, prejudice once they go into an unfamiliar place, and then all of the lived historical reality that people, if they're coming from a country where you don't trust the electoral process, or there could be repercussions for what you do. People are bringing all of that true lived experience here, and then we're telling them, definitely in Philly, trust the process. And that can be daunting for people. And so whether it's language or, and then let's just think too, we're so lucky that there's not a ballot question this November. But even when there
I was going to ask you that, so it's not one.
There's
Okay.
not one. There's
Okay,
not
good.
one.
All right.
But even when there is one, they'll say, oh, here's the plain English version. and it's still difficult, right? And so
Yeah, it's hard for me, and it's written the way that it's
so
written.
difficult.
Yeah.
It's like shall
Shall
the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended so as to, right?
Right.
And so, Committee of 70, we always have a yes or no. So we have, when there is a ballot question, we have in plain language, like, what happens if I say yes? What happens if I say no? And some of these things are just so, like, easy to understand where your values are. Like when the disability office was a question, like, should you make it permanent? And so people could definitely say yay or nay on that. But when you think then, that's English, I'm assuming, is, at least for the people in this room, is our primary language. Imagine if it's not.
Yeah, I know. So you're
Right?
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
making sure that we have, now Philadelphia also has the ballot in English, Spanish, and Chinese. But we also have interpreters, but there might not always be interpreters. And then if there are interpreters, there's a difference between everyday conversation and then technical language,
Yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah.
And so those are some of the barriers that someone may encounter. So you have, different generational experiences. And then if we think about all of our Hispanic brothers and sisters, like even within their huge diaspora, right? Like you have Puerto Ricans who are citizens, and yet their feelings are so different. And when they are voting back home in PR, that's very different, the numbers of when they vote here and what it means. And so not to speak of their experience, but just you have those issues and then you have everyone else, and there's massive differences between those communities and language. And so it's really important, again, that Committee of 70 understands that we can make these resources. We can definitely try and make sure that they're accessible, but we have to put them in the hands of people who truly can get at the nuance for each of those communities.
Interesting, understanding the nuance. Interesting. But thanks for sharing that, because I think our reach allows for people to kind of see certain things that many, I call them heroes, unsung heroes like yourself, don't necessarily get a chance to give to the people who might watch this, right? And so now they're seeing, and if they know, knowing is half the battle, as I say, right? That's where we start. I want to back up to you mentioning organizing and including kind of like young voices and young people, right? We're currently working with some young people as it relates to civics, right? Engaging in civics, their civic duty, and them creating stories and narratives to be able to report as young journalists, right? For young people who may be watching this and watching you and, oh my gosh, she's amazing, right? How would you explain to them in their level, right? On their level. I think part of, just to kind of jump another conversation, but I think part of the problem that we have is, or the conversation that I have been hearing is, people sometimes don't want to vote or engage in the political processes because they feel that they're being taught that, not taught to. So we generally have these conversations as an academic, right? Not necessarily, I say, plain English, right? Or plain conversational jargon, right? We usually talk in terms of the academic, right? Or you turn on CNN, you turn on news, that's the academic, right? So I hate to use the word layman's terms, but for a young person who might be watching you, can you explain what civics is and why it's important for them to engage in civics?
Oh, well, I am so lucky that I don't actually have to do that by myself. I have a wonderful counterpart named Justin Villery, who's our director of civic education.
Love it.
And we have lesson plans that go from K through college. I was at Temple doing a poll worker info session talking to a young man who, once I was saying some more about Committee of 70 and our fellowships that we have for college students, he's like, wait, you have a youth civics department? Like, we did not have that. at my high school. And so, and he's from York County. He's like, yeah, I didn't have any of this. And what prompted the conversation too was that on our interactive voter guide, where you can learn about the candidates, right? We also have these videos of the candidates, and they are student interviews. So for high schools around the Commonwealth, we offer to connect students, like a teacher, with a candidate, and then the students are charged with not only writing the questions, but then interviewing the candidate.
I'll give you a round of applause for that. Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
not just magnet schools or private schools. We want all students to engage in this kind of work so that they can see firsthand without someone, like truly not even someone talking with them, but it's them. It's their voice. It's their questions. So we have that. We have another awesome, like we do mock trial with real candidates, and we have that across the Commonwealth with all of the direct candidates from that interactive voter guide, right? Students use that, and then they are the ones that are determining, like, what would, if we were able to vote, like, what would happen. And then we have this really great program called Can We Talk? Okay. And so that is a program which is really trying to get students, usually from like different high schools, but definitely from different ideological backgrounds, to learn how to converse with one another, not with the goal of finding consensus and some happy medium, but just, can we listen to one another? And how do we disagree respectfully?
Yeah, adults need that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, right?
Yes.
And so that's the work that we're doing. Again, we have K through college, but we do a lot of work with high schoolers and really centering their voice. And so in each of those programs, it's my amazing colleague who is making sure to have students discuss important issues, talk through candidates, and then talk to candidates directly.
How could someone get involved and engage with the Committee of 70? How can anyone become a member? Can anyone, what is that process like? Because if I'm on the outside looking in, right, and hearing an interview like this, I'm like, I gotta be a part of that. I'm sure it's people that's saying that.
That's
I need to
great.
be a part of that, right?
And then I didn't even say the website, right?
Well, you got a chance now. Here we go.
Saying all these great things. I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, luckily it's just 70.org.
Okay.
You spell it out. And we break it down by how to get involved. So there's Get Informed, which has the link to how Philly works, and then Find My Elected. So we really do try and make it user friendly so that, because there's so much, right?
Yeah,
Government
it
is
is.
so overwhelming. Yeah. And so if you could definitely fall down the rabbit hole, even in our own website, but we do say, get informed. And so you can find those different links, and everything that we have is free. And then we have Take Action. And so
Hold on, wait.
sorry.
I'm sorry. You said everything you have is what?
Oh yeah, it is free 99.
There you go. So, and I say that I wanted to stop you there. I didn't
No,
mean
you're
to stop you,
fine.
but I wanted to stop you there is because you have a lot of people who feel that there's so many barriers out there just to get information, and there's no barriers here unless you have challenges with access and the internet. But it's free.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Yes,
I should have
absolutely.
said that
Yeah.
with all of our student programs.
Yes.
Having us come out and do the mock trial or the candidate piece, those things are free. We also have there's a teacher advisory council where you actually get a stipend, $1,000 stipend for the year.
Hold up,
So,
wait.
right?
Say that one more again. One more again.
Yes.
So you don't have to spend money. It's an opportunity that you might be able to receive.
Yes, to if there are any teachers who are out there, we have a teacher advisory council. You can
Right.
get $1,000 for a year of service, and it's really just trying to think through great resources to keep sharing with one another. And so, in addition to taking action or types of taking action, you can become a member, and then you'll get access to a bunch of our events. And one of our events was our debate watch party, which we had at City Tap House with all kinds of snacks. That's always my favorite, but also a drink ticket. And that was free because we want to get people out. We're so excited. You can hear me like start to talk so much faster because I'm just so excited about all the things we have. And so, yeah, you can find different ways to be a poll worker. So those are the two parts of our website, 70.org. If you want to get informed and learn how Philly works, we have those resources. You'll see on the About page, you'll see my staff info. You can email me, and then I will send you resources. We will mail them to you. You can come pick them up. We're just right downtown. So the things that you need, we definitely got. We want to make sure that people are informed. I tell people all the time, and educated people cannot be taken advantage of. And so that is my purpose, making sure that we have those resources, whether we are young people or we're grown and sexy. Yes, thank you for that applause.
And so I think that's an excellent kind of like ending point. This time flew, so I'm sorry I kept you on a little longer because I wanted to talk to you because you was giving some great information.
That's a nice way of saying I wouldn't stop talking, so thank you.
No, not at all, because we'll keep you on the show, right? So first of all, you got to promise you'll come back.
Oh my goodness, I would love to.
Okay, especially we got. What is it? 30-something days left. How many days
know.
left to the?
Yeah,
30.
today is
Yeah.
the 5th, and it's November 5th.
Jeez.
I mean, people don't even have, so you have October 21st is the last day to register to vote.
Right.
October 29th by 5 p.m. is when people need to request their mail-in ballot. But if people are here in Philly, we have these wonderful satellite offices now. In addition to City Hall, you can use these satellite offices. There were 2 block parties, I think, today outside a couple of them. Welcome America's doing it big on October 12th outside of the 3rd District Satellite Office. There's going to be a big party then October 19th up at the satellite office outside of the Susquehanna train stop. It is a one-stop shop. You can register to vote. You can apply for a mail-in ballot, fill it out, and drop it off all in the same visit.
Wow.
You can do all the things. The city has definitely made it so much easier for us, and you're not limited by the satellite office that's in your neighborhood. You can go to whichever one is convenient or wherever the next block party will be. We have so many different events and activities, so definitely.
Yeah, definitely keep We Talk Weekly in the loop.
will.
We'll come up, show up, and show out real quick. What is, before we let you go, you have to answer this because you have been. I mean, you're doing amazing work. You're engaged in the community, engaging the people. You are an activist, an advocate. You are representative of uplifting marginalized communities. You put the work in. What is the legacy that you would leave or that you believe that you would want to leave? Yeah.
Whew. I absolutely believe that everyone wants to feel smart. Everyone wants to get that gold star. Everyone wants to feel good. And I think that my role is to try and give people the tools to do that and to let them know that they can know these things, whether I was in the classroom or now wherever I go to do voter ed. I want people to know this is for you. This is yours. It is interesting. It is fun. I am so excited about it, and I want to make sure that people feel that and can share that with others, to take that kind of enthusiasm that I have, where it's it's accessible. Government is accessible. When I taught history, that's accessible, and it's for us, it's by us, and so I want to share it with us, and I hope more people feel that way, whatever age they are, whatever background they have. I want people to be excited to share that knowledge with others.
You want to revisit telling everyone what events or what things are coming up, and so they can follow, and how they can find you and get in contact with you and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Committee of 70 is going to be at 2 upcoming block parties on Saturday, October 12th in the 3rd Council District from 1 to 5. And then the following Saturday, October 19th, we'll be up at the Susquehanna stop on the Broad Street line outside of another satellite office. And then we have some events coming up for Vote Early Day, which is October 29th, and then definitely doing lots of things on Election Day itself. I won't be at those parties. I will be at my local polling place. But if people are really interested in finding out anything more about Committee of 70, please follow us on all the socials. It's just Committee of 70, and our website is 70.org.
It's c70.org or 70.org?
Just the number,
Wow.
70.
There you go.
.org.
70.org.
Thank you
Okay.
for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You could tell this is the first time that I'm really plugging. So thank you for
Doing
guiding me
amazing.
along.
You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I just want to thank you for coming. Do you have any? I was questioning her today. That's like, y'all got any more questions for this young lady who's been spitting bars, giving us the good stuff?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps and do what you've been doing?
Great question.
I think that I really loved being a teacher. I love that experience. I was able to get into that through Teach for America, and just going up to every amazing, usually in my schools, it was elder Black women who had been doing it, and I was like, teach me your ways. So just making sure to find someone who can mentor and who is willing to share that. And so when I decided to do something outside of the classroom related to education, I had already been following Committee of 70, but it was just at a perfect time because we got our first president CEO, who's a woman, Lauren Cristella, and that is just absolutely right. After 100, only took 119 years at that point, but she's just been doing amazing things, and so to have a strong, capable, kind, encouraging woman as the leader of our organization and someone that I look to as a mentor has been really incredible. So just looking for people that really want to pull you up and see that as part of their strength, like that is what I also want to be able to do.
Real quick, before we got another dynamic interview that's about to jump on, but I'm really curious. Does anyone come to you for, I guess, endorsement? Do they come to C70 for endorsement?
No,
Okay.
because we're nonpartisan.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but we do have, we will have on Tuesday, October 22nd from 7 to 8:30, we'll have an AG forum so that we can hear from all of the candidates. So we definitely have platforms for,
Yeah, sure.
we definitely have, pardon me, we have, and that'll be a virtual piece. So we did that in the spring. We'll do that again, just so that people can hear directly from the candidates.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a dynamic interview. I had a great time. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, you got to promise you come back.
Oh my goodness, please make sure. You're going to have to keep me from now that I know where you are. I was banging at the wrong door earlier.
Because one thing we say is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show. So you're always welcome to come back. And we have about 30 days. And I think we need to hear more information to get the people informed. And so we really appreciate you coming to the show. So I don't want you guys to go anywhere. When we come back, we got another dynamic interview. That one was great, though. But we got another one that's just as great. We'll be right back, y'all, after this.
We just want to get a little background as to who the Fantastic Noise is and the noisemakers. If you can let us know.
Yes, absolutely. So once again, I am Fantastic Noise. I am the original noisemaker, so no one's going to make as much noise as me, okay? And right here we have the Noisemaker Band. This is only half of it. The other stuffs are upstairs. My Kevin Lamar, Lonnie, and Dobbs, who are the actual band members. These are the background singers. And we came to make some noise. We came to bring that noise today. That's what we try to do. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you guys get together?
Oh man, so it started with I've been doing this on my own for almost 3 years now. And man, I guess each of these people here have different background stories. Most of us went to the same church together, and we just kept going. This one, her, this is one of my assistants here. One of like my biggest supporter, my biggest shooter here. She's an assistant. So we just been building, and the same thing with upstairs with the band. Just meeting through people, kept networking, kept seeing, and it was just like God ordained. Bam, here we are.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, could you guys do We Talk Weekly a favor?
Yes.
Can you give us a drop in a melody type way?
Oh, a melody type way?
Yes.
Okay. So we talk weekly?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do something like this. We talk weekly, come and hear us. We talk weekly, come and hear them. 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 We talk weekly, come and hear them.
Okay, get beautified because y'all already gorgeous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We Talk Weeklies after the talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
and the beautiful
Lady Esther.
Lady S. Dot is definitely in the building. Let me hit one more again. Come on.
I'm in the building.
There you go. There she goes. She's
Got me
definitely
turned down low.
Got to turn down low, right? Why don't you come up here with us, Lady S. Dot? Wow. We can prepare for our next interview that I can't wait to talk to this young lady. Was excited to have her and listen to all of the things that she is doing. She's doing some work out there. So you ready for me?
Yes.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us who do we have today?
So we have the amazing Miss Dominique Days Hunter. She is an Afro-Indigenous storyteller, inspirational speaker, advocate, and artist specializing in poetry and sustainable fashion. The author of Seeds, Stories of Afro-Indigenous Resilience, and CEO of D Days Hunter Designs, LLC. Her work explores the connections between historical trauma, safe spaces, and healing in Black and Indigenous communities. As a program manager for Indigenous East and project manager for the Geisha language, did I say that right? Immersion and Lifeways Conference. Dominique also leads workshops on healing through storytelling, stress management, empowerment, and DEIB training. She holds a bachelor's degree in nonprofit leadership management with an emphasis in American Indian Studies and lives in Durham, North Carolina, and Phoenix, Arizona. So let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Miss Dominique Day Hunter.
Yeah, that's
welcome,
real.
welcome,
Now
welcome.
that's the real indigenous language right there. That's not
Yes.
we're gonna bring her on. How are you, Dominique? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
I was excited to have you on Hercules.
Good.
I was excited
Yes.
to have you on the show. You know, one thing that we usually start with is how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, the weather's changing here down in Durham, and it's beautiful. Just love to see the way the earth changes and moves, and making a lot of moves. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. And y'all did a great job introducing me. So thank you. And yes,
Well, you did the work.
It's your work, right? We just introduced you, but really quick. You know, North Carolina has had, you know, some challenges lately with the weather. Has that affected where you are or in Durham or?
Yeah, so I would say not directly, no. Most of the damage that was done really horrendously was out in Western North Carolina. So that's going to be out kind of past Asheville, and more kind of affecting communities out that way. Yeah, so our hearts are definitely with them, just seeing all the tragedy. I was actually in Rhode Island last week when the hurricane started. There was a lot of tornado warnings where my mom lives in Winston-Salem, so it's definitely scary. But yeah, we're just trying to get as many supplies, out there as we can, just to help folks. The roads are pretty much impassable. I saw they were using like mules to get supplies to them. But it's crazy because it was so inland. So it's just very shocking, obviously, really heartbreaking for everybody here.
Yeah. I was excited to have you on there because we don't necessarily have someone, as a representative of our indigenous people, right? And so I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that, your ancestry and kind of, you from your diaspora, right? And just amplify that, right? Because I think, I think that's a particular group that's very marginalized and people don't know, right? And so I just want to allow you the space to amplify that and just talk a little bit about it. Yep, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you used the perfect word, diaspora. We are Yesa. I am Yesa. That is our idiom or our name for ourselves. We come from different communities throughout North Carolina and even Virginia. So if Saponi or Monacan rings anybody's bells, these are just different community names for our people and our ethnic group, which is Yesa. We're Eastern Siouan people, so we're distantly related to all the Lakota and Dakota folks out there. And our language shares a lot of similarities with other Siouan languages. And yeah, as you mentioned, here in North Carolina, it's a little bit different. I lived out in Arizona for about 13 years and also did work with fellow Indigenous and Black folks out there. And I would say out west, it's a little bit more of a experience. It's a different experience where someone may have like a Native parent and a Black parent. But out here, I mean, we are 400 years deep, being not only like Native and Black, but also Caucasian as well, just all intermixed, triracial. Our fellow community, Lumbee, down in Robeson County, is very evident of that. So our folks of Yesa, we have 3 bands. 3 of them are state recognized: Occaneechi Saponi, Halawa Saponi, and Saponi of Person County. And then there's some of our communities, such as my family, where my family comes from in Granville County, where we don't have any state recognition or federal recognition, but we are recognized by other communities who are like, y'all are our relatives. We know your grandma, basically. So it's really awesome just to be a part of a community that really embraces our diaspora. We come originally from the Ohio River Valley about 1,600 years ago and came down to North Carolina, some in South Carolina and Virginia. And we still have some folks in the Saponi Nation of Ohio that went back up to Ohio to deal with colonization after basically after 1607, Jamestown.
All right, fantastic.
A little bit of history background.
So I appreciate you doing that because for us, it's very important for us to identify certain groups and to not only to support, but just to amplify certain things that generally we just kind of like overlook because we're life is lifing, right?
Right, sure.
Life is lifing, and so I think you represent a specific demographic that we don't necessarily talk too much about,
Right.
And I'm not sure what that is because this country is yours, pretty much. I mean, if you want, I'm just saying, right?
Right.
And so, do you find any challenges even moving forward that you feel that needs to be kind of like spoken about, or need to be kind of like a light need to be shed on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to just to give a little bit more context.
Sure.
My granddad, Orade, he is the one who is from here in Granville County, and I still have lots of family here. And so they are truly triracial, Afro-Indigenous. My grandma, my mom's mom, she is Black originally from Uniontown, Alabama. And then my dad is Polish and Irish, white guy from New Jersey. So I feel like if there's anybody, the universe really was like, this is the person who's gonna, we need some folks who have some different perspectives. So as far as challenges, kind of speaking up, I feel like I have a unique platform just in how I was raised. To be able to reach different folks and to understand different perspectives. Right now, there's so much going on, but I will say that we are fighting a few things here in North Carolina. As I mentioned, most of our communities are state recognized. There's about 12 communities in North Carolina, Native communities, only one of which is federally recognized. So one of the things we're dealing with is that there's a burial site, about 3,200-year-old burial site out on the coast in Cataract County. And there was a housing development being built out there, and they found remains, these 3,200-year-old remains. And so my Gita, or cousin, Crystal Cavalier Keck, she's with Seven Directions of Service. Her and her husband, Jason, were fighting and making some policy to make sure that these remains are taken care of. I'm going to get real technical real quick.
No, go ahead, please.
The NAGPRA, Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, basically is supposed to do this for us, but since we're not federally recognized, we don't get those federal protections. So we have to really be creative and work at a policy level, a more local policy level. And so they were able to get the policy passed, and they went out there to just pray. They didn't go to protest. They were actually attacked by a mob of I guess residents there, and one dude pulled out a gun. Another person was like an off-duty police officer who ended up body slamming a 58-year-old woman with women and children and elders present. So it's very traumatic. And so again, it's just kind of one of the things that we don't really have those protections. Another is the Mountain Valley Pipeline. It's just really, aside from just not being renewable energy, all that, it's just long story short, look into it. It's been sitting for years during COVID. So it's really, really risky to continue this project. And it's really affecting our water quality and, not only for humans, but also for the species that we rely on, like our fish relatives and that we call our relatives, right? Yeah. I highly recommend. I know that sometimes Indigenous people, we can hide in plain sight, but we are out here. So highly recommend, social media is great for that. Get plugged in, and there's so many important issues. I could go on for hours, but
Absolutely. Well, I hope this offered some sense of enlightenment for someone who will be watching. So I appreciate that, and thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. We love you over here in these streets, so it is what it is. We unapologetic about the community, so it is what it is, right?
Yes.
So I want to, and sorry for that, by the way.
No, thank you.
Yes,
Please
for
say
sure.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Afro-Indigenous storytelling, right? How do you define that, and how would that translate, or how is that different from other narratives of storytelling,
Yeah, that's a great question. Gonna get into it. All right, I'm ready. So Afro-Indigenous storytelling, I guess at its most simple, would be the perspectives of Afro-Indigenous people, or Afro-Amerindian, that's another term, basically Black natives, right? Folks who have African American and Native American heritage. So our perspectives and our histories and the unique ways in which we see the world. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of overlap. We're basically a living Venn diagram, right?
Yeah.
So, and then there's some things that there's overlap that we have with our Black community, our Indigenous community, and then there's some things that we experience that neither experience. So it's really interesting. And so I feel like those intersections of our identity are really key to not only showing these unique perspectives, but also showing the gaps, right, in what it means to be Afro-Indigenous. And I kind of spoke a little bit earlier about that politically, but even socially, I love to say that an Afro-Indigenous person isn't, especially a misconception can be, oh, you're Native, but you have dark skin, but it's kind of ignoring our amazing, deep, beautiful Black African roots.
Yes.
And so that's really what I bring into my storytelling, is understanding the American Indigenous, right? American Turtle Island Indigenous, which there's over 500 federally recognized tribes and 500 state tribes. So we're not a monolith, but there are some common themes, right? Of just, instead of seeing the world as linear, seeing it as more circular, cyclical, and things like that. But there's also this awareness that we're interconnected with everything, including our animal relatives and including with the earth and the water, and that everything affects one another. And that's not necessarily different than, you know, our African roots, our
Yeah.
especially West African, you know, storytelling. I mean, it's the same thing. We're indigenous too. We were removed forcefully, obviously, from our homes, and a lot of these things were ripped away from us, and our identity and culture was forgotten. But we still are also indigenous people, as long as we connect with the earth and understand that we're not the only important beings out here. And so I really do understand and feel that deep longing for home, and just kind of making a home out of a new home
Yeah.
is a part of the Black experience, at least for my family and my grandmother. And just wanting to reroute to tradition and to magic, if you will, or to spirituality. And that the crossover of that, especially, there's in a lot of my poetry, I use a lot of repetition that you see in, for example, in indigenous song making, and then also a lot of like, you know, call and return and things like that you
Yeah.
see obviously in Black narration. So I guess I seamlessly try to interblend those two things together.
Yeah, yeah, and I love to see how you're creating this intersection of two kind of like, you know, ideas, meshing them together to give light to them all, right? So I love that idea, because I'm gonna put you on Front Street in a minute, because I want, you know, we gotta hear something, right?
All
And
right.
so, yeah, but I do want you to expand a little bit more, because I know there's people watching, and they're going to, you know, they're curious about this idea of, uh, you know, animals that we're around being relatives, right? And so I
Mm.
want you to expand a little bit more about the connection to, you know, the human essence of who we are, and
Mhm.
what we know as the animals that
Mhm.
we may see, you know, that type of thing. Can you expand a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what this really comes back to is creation story, and different communities, different indigenous communities have their own creation stories. So they vary, but I'll give an example of a creation story that's often told. It's more of an Algonquin creation story, but it's about how this became Turtle Island. And so it talks about Sky Woman and how she was married, she got pregnant, and so she needed a home. And so her father sent her down to the earth, but there was no earth, there was just water. And so all the animals kind of gathered together, and they said, we need to make a home for her. She can't swim, right? She's a human. So as she's slowly falling down from the sky, right? And this is like where all the magic and the spirituality part comes into it. They start to kind of scramble, and they need some mud, but it's way down, 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 down deep in the water, deep in the ocean. So they ask one another, who can go, right? Who has the strongest lungs that can go and can grab this earth? So several different animals try to go, and they all fail. Basically, either they come up gasping for air, or they nearly drown. And Tainalska, which is muskrat, she's the one who made it out, but she gave her life. So she floats to the surface, and she had drowned, but she had a little bit of mud in her hand. And so with that little bit of mud, they spread it on Wakisi, on Turtle's back, and slowly, 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 things started growing on Turtle's back. The trees, the
Yeah.
plants, the food that Sky Woman needed to live and to survive. And so it really is, I love just sharing a story to answer a
Yeah.
question, because it really shows not only historically in our creation, but even to this day, how our animal relatives sacrifice themselves. And that's why we are like, here I'm wearing these are Eop or bison teeth. So we don't waste anything.
Mm.
And we understand that everything that comes from the earth is alive or has been alive. So we give that honor and that respect, because without our animal relatives, we believe that they came first, and that they taught us things. They taught us what berries to eat and what were poisonous, and what medicines to use, and how to use fire like safely, and things like that. So there's a lot of teaching and understanding, I think, if we just listen. And I think in this modern day and age, that we can all become so swept up in just, life. Like you said, life be life and
Yeah,
heavily. So heavily. So really just kind of taking the time to have that inner reflection, but also understanding that we are really all connected. When species go extinct, when climate change is affecting, one area of the country or the other, if you just think about it, even in the human ecosystem, it affects the other part of the country and the other part of the state. So even so much more so with species, with plants, animals, with trees and things like that. So again, I mean, I do think that people have different worldviews, I mean, I was also raised, in with an acknowledgement to, more of like a biblical sense. So, there's different ways that people look at things, but I feel like whether you look at us as stewards that are put here to take care of Mother Earth and their animals, or however you look at it, that we're not alone here on this planet. And if we were, we'd be in big trouble.
That's right. That's right. Someone is amazing. Someone is amazing. And ironically, I was going to jump into, which I will at this time. I'll jump into the book. So I got the book. So thanks. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I got the book. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So maybe this is a great time to have you share something with us. And I want everyone to kind of just take notes of the different styles of storytelling, because even the way you're doing this interview is in a story, which I love it. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So why don't you share with us, some of your work, would be great to hear. Please do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll share this first poem. It's called Soaring. And to give a background, always giving a background, always giving a context. This is when I was living out in Phoenix, and I was coming back and forth every summer for the last 7 years or so, visiting North Carolina. And for those who get it, you get it. And if you don't get it yet, I hope you get it one day. But we all have this or multiple places on earth where you just feel like that's home, right? Even if you're not indigenous to that place, that's where your mom's lives, that's where your ancestors are buried. And so this is an experience I had flying back to North Carolina and talking about the earth and relations and being called back home. So this one is called Soaring. I soar toward the earth on the wings of twilight. Giho, daughter, she says, come back to us. I fly on metal wings, seeing green and ancient trees. Giho, daughter, they say, come back to us. I sit next to strangers, but I hear ancestors. Giho, daughter, they say, come back to us. I greet the rain droplets in the clouds mixed with my own sweet tears now. Giho, daughter, they say, come back to us. The moon rises on the east, always watching over me, beaming. Here comes our daughter, she says. I've brought her back to us. That's right.
I love that. I love that.
Wow, you had the whole place quiet in here. Giho.
I know. I could just picture. Yeah, I was just kind of picturing everything that you were saying, and I love that. It really just puts you in the place of the whole atmosphere and everything. But I did have a question. With this upcoming election, that reproductive rights are on the ballot, and that's important to so many different people who are going to be voting in this upcoming election. Can you talk a little bit about reproductive justice, because you highlight that in Seeds? So can you talk about your thoughts and the reproductive rights?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like talking about reproductive justice from a cultural lens only makes sense. It really gives it the context when you're talking about the policies that prevent us from having reproductive justice. And so that's this. I mean, the system isn't failing. The system is working the way it was designed to work. I'm just going to be honest, y'all. But we're trying to change that system. And so that's why it's just so important to be aware of not only the issues that affect yourself, especially even when it comes to reproductive issues, but being able to listen to other people. because again, what do they say? The shortest distance between two people is a story. So sometimes saying facts don't really touch people, right? Or impact people, but sharing your story is really, really important. And, these policies that are threatening reproductive justice, yes, they impact ability for folks to have access to abortion care, but they're also impacting folks, which is very important. Let me just full stop right there, actually. And it's also impacting women's abilities, um, which is already very fraught, to have a voice in their healthcare and to be taken seriously in regards to their pain. And we know this, that Black women and Native women and women of color in disproportionate numbers are unheard and are ignored. Their pain is ignored. And that's why we have very high, not only infant mortality rates and pregnancy mortality rates, but even rates of endometriosis. I myself was diagnosed in 2017 with stage 4 endometriosis, and I'm still coping with it today. And it really can completely shake your quality of life, your ability to provide for yourself and your family, your ability to get up out of bed in the morning and um, feel like you have a purpose and feel like you're worthy. It can really rock that. So when you're already going through something physical, and then you also have to go meet a healthcare system that wasn't designed to listen to you, wasn't designed to help you, because it didn't have you in mind, right? That can create devastating effects. So it's super, super, super important, y'all, to definitely get involved and make sure that you're voting on important issues that pertain to reproductive justice, because it's already so difficult to try to survive and thrive in this world, as somebody who has certain reproductive care needs. So on top of that, to have them completely denied, it honestly really scares me. It really frightens me. I try not to live in a state of fear, but it's enough to wake you up and make you want to go do something.
Yeah. And how is your state affected by the abortion ban that's already been passed? Because you're in North Carolina.
Yeah,
Is it North Carolina and Arizona?
yeah, and they're both not great right now, honestly. So I was actually in Arizona back in September 2022. So I'll speak a little bit more to that. I'm still trying to get my footing in here, in North Carolina, but in Arizona, I was there when they passed the resolution to decline abortion care and reproductive rights. We actually had a event on reproductive justice, and so we had some artists coming in, myself included. We had a really powerful, I have a line called Bless the Matriarchy, and it has like a womb in the shape of roses. And so we had a beautiful fashion show to spread awareness. And when that ruling came in, I mean, it was absolutely devastating, because it's as I mentioned, when policy changes like that, it really affects your ability to live your life, like on a very practical sense. And similarly here in North Carolina, I mean, we all probably now know about certain politicians and their stances on abortion and things like that, like Mark Robinson, and just kind of like really, very just archaic. I'll just honestly say, like, archaic, very patriarchal, misogynistic, homophobic, and transphobic rhetoric, that is literally
Every ick. Just say every ick.
every ick. Yes, I love that. There's the ick, so I love the ick. We hate the ick, but yeah, absolutely. So it's a battle, and it's really ridiculous at this point that we have to continuously stay vigilant and fight and for our own reproductive health care, especially the people who are being most disproportionately affected. A lot of us are the people who bring people into this world. So it kind of goes back to those indigenous values of respecting the earth and respecting femininity, which is really missing in this world. Yeah. So, and obviously it also affects our trans and non-binary, relatives too. So yeah, just staying vigilant and staying on top of issues and voting is super important.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like how you relative everything. I like that about that. So I guess we cuz. What's up, cuz?
Yeah, what's up,
What's up,
cuz?
cuz? No doubt. So you you talked about your earrings. I love that bison teeth, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
That's amazing. I think that's an excellent transition to talk a little bit about the fashion aspect of some of the things that you do. Let's talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So this segues perfectly into and from reproductive health care because it was in the fall of 2017 after I got my diagnosis of endometriosis. And, after experiencing, I had to quit my job. I couldn't stand up at a coffee shop all day long and I was trying to finish my bachelor's degree. And so I was like, I need to do something. And I've always been a poet. I've always been a storyteller. But I hadn't quite learned how to direct that in a way that could help me to pay my rent. So my instant thought also went to when I was 17, I started like a little, it was like tie-dye and little spray paint, y'all. Like I had stencils, like literally it was just basic. But I started learning how to screen print. And, I started getting back into my drawing and I created a streetwear brand, which is where D-Day Hunter Designs really started from. And so, yeah, from there over the last 6 years or so, 7 years, I've really been able to branch into more couture streetwear as well. I was able to make a really beautiful gown. I called it the Eastern Woodlands and Waterways gown for Dr. Alexa Sutton Lawrence, who I work with doing land work with Indigenous East. And so she was going to some type of environmental gala. I can't remember it right now. But she was able to rock that. It was really powerful just being able to kind of see the beadwork. It was in the shape of the Gwin River out of Maryland. She's a Baltimore girl. And so just kind of like using some pearls and some gold beads to create that. And having like the top and then having like this really beautiful empire waist skirt that kind of resembled like the trees, like kind of like a tree line, if you will, like through these corduroy pinstripes.
Sure.
So that's really the whole purpose behind the fashion is that we want to feel good and feel empowered and we want to look good doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's just so powerful. It's a powerful statement to be able to say, I'm here and I'm also, rocking what makes me feel good. And honestly, y'all, before the 1960s and the American Indian Freedom Act, and just in general today, we know they don't even want us wearing our natural hair at work. We don't even want us, let alone rocking some bison teeth. So, it's just all about pushing back the narrative of what's normal, what's acceptable.
There you go. Yeah. Shout out to the Crown Act. Shout out to the Crown Act.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how could this is interesting because we talked about reproductive rights. We talked about identifying and supporting, Black women across the board. I'm interested in hearing your perspective on how do you believe someone like myself, a gentleman like myself, people who look like me, can help and support people who look like you?
Yeah, great question. First of all, it's all about listening. Right. And, a lot of our narratives, that's why I love storytelling so much. And, statistics are great, but that's just one capturing. So,
For sure.
we can read statistics and numbers all day and they're important. They're very important, but also just listening to other people's stories and believing them, to be honest. Like you would be
for sure.
surprised how often I feel like myself, and I'm sure a lot of y'all listening feel the same way, that it's like we're talking into a void or talking to a wall, or that can't be possible. That can't be real. I know y'all are like probably seeing those trends on TikTok, the period simulator. I love that. Like, I mean, I hate to see y'all hurting, but at the same time, it's so interesting to be, women are like, this is like half of what my pain is. So just listening and being open-minded to kind of putting down the ego a little bit and saying, you know what? I don't know what it's like to be this person. So let me listen to their story. And then in rooms where we're not present, speaking up as you become educated.
There you go. I appreciate that. This is why we always do this. We let you tell your own story. We let you tell your own narratives. One thing that We Talk Weekly have always said was, if you don't tell your story, someone else will. And they may not tell it the way that it's supposed to be told, right? So we always tell our story, and we're loud about it unapologetically. But understanding the platform that we have, we realize that we have a certain power to also help other people amplify their stories and messages, which is why you're on the show today.
Can you?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
No, I was going to say, can you walk us through, because, you're doing these workshops. Can you walk us through, like, what a typical workshop looks like from, the attendee perspective, like what people can expect from your
Yeah.
workshops?
Absolutely. So, as my bio mentions, I provide a few workshops. I'll say what my favorites are, what I feel, what I see, and the feedback that I get that tend to be the most transformative are actually the more so like the mindfulness, the stress management workshops. I also do some on land rematriation and again, understanding the role of relative. But what I really love to start off with workshops is breath, because a lot of us, again, life be life in, we're running from one thing to the next. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of pressure, especially people of color. We know this. This is unfortunately just been our life for a while. So just starting with breath work and really reconnecting to the breath and the body is so important. I feel like it really shifts everything. So I would say expect to come and to be relaxed first. And then there's always a level of like, historic background or education, even if we're talking DEIB or diversity and inclusion, just expect to, have that like somewhat historical educational background. And then like y'all were mentioning, I love to hear people, right? Unless there are some that folks are like, we really want to just dive in. Like I just had a session a few weeks ago on intersectionality. So a lot of that was just heavy, leaning into the different intersections and how they can be affected, et cetera, in terms of land holding, right? And how holding resources is different in different intersections. So, but what I do like to do, whether it's in breakout groups, which is really great because some folks are really, folks tend to be more comfortable talking in smaller groups, even on the Zoom room, right? So just like kind of breaking off and having folks share their story and their thoughts, and then kind of grouping back and having folks, giving people a chance to share what they've learned or share some new insights. And really, it's about the questions you ask is really important. It's not always about necessarily the outcome of the question or the answers that you'll get right away, but the right questions, or I don't want to say the right questions, but the questions that move you to want to share are really important. And so just asking folks some questions that allow them to not shut down, but to open up and to really kind of shed that the mindset of lack, right? Like in a world like what we're trying to create a new world, y'all. I mean, I know I am.
Right.
So a new world that's rooted in some old roots, some old good roots. So yeah, just expect to feel grounded. And I also recently did some in-person storytelling. And so we were able to kind of sit down. I literally got everybody on the grass, the blanket. And, we shared about like, what is your earliest memory of connecting with the land or with, your maternal figure, with your family, and, tell me who you are, right? And so again, it's just about centering people's voices and giving them a space sometimes just to talk, because a lot of times our voices are silenced.
Wow. I'm gonna throw a couple words at you, and I want you to tell me the first thing that come to mind.
Okay.
But butterfly.
Blue.
Tree. Tree.
Strong.
Volcano.
Passion.
Sun.
Life.
Moon.
Mother.
Interesting. I was gonna say mother next. Love.
Babies.
I know that's right. Yeah.
Like that.
This is a question that I always I haven't asked in a while, but I think it serves because we're talking about questions that move, right?
Yes.
So this is I'm gonna throw you a little hook right here.
All right.
I want you to think of the one thing no one else knows about Dominique that you could tell us today. I mean, you got to dig deep. I mean, if you got to dig in the earth and pull it out, I want you to tell me the one thing that no one else knows about you.
Is this for the past or the present or the future?
Wow. Whichever one.
Whichever one.
Yeah,
All
whichever
right.
one.
Something no one else knows. My I don't know if y'all in astrology. I'm a Capricorn, so my little like, wait a minute. Yes, your mask will come off. Okay. Something that people probably don't know about me. Okay. Well, I'll do my best.
Okay.
Something that people don't know about me is that I'm always, even though I don't have my own children right now, I'm always thinking about the next 7 generations.
Oh, wow.
And something that people don't know is that I have a lot of inspirations, not only to our people, to all our people, but also for connecting our people to land. And so that's what my family is working on right now. I do a lot of land rematriation support for other people, but we're working, and I'm actually, okay, this is something people don't know. I'm helping my 88-year-old auntie, my great auntie. I'm helping her to write her autobiography.
Oh, that's dope.
Nice.
Yeah. So we haven't settled on a name or nothing, and she kind of knows and she kind of doesn't, because she's like, I really want to write it, but she's she has arthritis in her hands, and then she's so cute because she's like, well, now I'm busy, I got stuff going on, so I don't have time. So I kind of like low key, and hopefully I don't think she's gonna watch this, but I just call her up and I just ask her, Auntie, what was it like growing up? Or what was it like this and that? And I just be in my notes, just taking little notes on the phone. So that's something I'm working on. And it ties back to this land rematriation because back in the 1940s, at the beginning of World War II, my family was removed from their sacred home, their land of what we call Red Mountain. Ohekea Chuti, which is Rougemont, North Carolina, and they built Camp Butner, the huge military base that's 30,000 acres, and they gave my great granddaddy like $20 an acre or something crazy for his land. So, that's something that we're working on to kind of uncover even what part of our land is it still being occupied by the military base, because it just absorbed a huge part of the mountain, obviously. And my auntie says she tried to go back in her adulthood, and she's like, names have changed, and I don't even know, because when so much has been absorbed, you don't even know what road to go to, go to the road to where you live, So we're trying to like get some notes from her, what she remembers as a kid. She remembers going up there with her dad, and after they got kicked off the land, and they became sharecroppers after that. And before that, they were up there for like 300, 400 years. So he took them down there to see, after the war, they started mining ore, like, some type of metal. So, and she said it was just totally, that part of the mountain was totally just devastated. So yeah, we're putting that together. So that's, again, why storytelling is so important, because it literally leads you home, right? So, I mean, we don't know exactly what it will do. We know that the military base isn't necessarily going to like go away, but we can at least get closer to understanding where we've come from so that we know where we are. And then hopefully we can, even if it's just some surrounding areas in Rougemont, start to get some of our homeland back.
Yeah, that needs to be a film.
Yeah, Dal, you got story after story.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I come from a long line of storytellers.
Absolutely. Amazing. I got 2 more questions and then I'll let you go because I'm curious about, so your name is Dominique Day Hunter. What would be your indigenous name?
Ooh, good question. I was just talking about this. So there's a couple different ways that people, you can go through ceremony to get your indigenous name.
Right.
You can also have dreams. I'm lucky because I get a lot of dreams. Ancestors and helpers are always tapping me on the shoulder, trying to tell me something. So anyway, for me, they call me Munti, which is black bear. So Munti Mate, which would be black bear woman.
If someone was interested, whom believed they were connected to you or someone within the tribe, so to speak, how would they go about that? Do they have to go through a certain ancestry process? How does that work?
So what I will say is that, like I said, a lot of our communities are very disenfranchised and scattered and diasporic. So I would say look up the last names. So Hunter is my dad's name. Day is from my granddad and my great granddad all the way back. So I would say just look up some names if you feel like my family's from North Carolina or from whatever area. A lot of times in the East Coast, a lot of our clan systems were really devastated because of patriarchy and colonization. And so what happened is you went from more so being like clan centered through the mother for the most part, to more so like last names, right? Through the patrilineal line. So even though there's pro and cons to that, there is a pro to that, which is the fact that those last names can tell you a lot, so they can help to connect you to community. So if you say, oh, I don't know where I come from as far as the tribe name, but I know my family comes from here and these are the 6 or 7 or 8 last names. So ancestry can help in the fact that it can give you those last names, because most folks just don't have like their great granddaddy's like name line. Right? Some do, but most of us don't, right? We're moving, we're trying to survive. So getting those last names is key. And then I would just say, this is just literally like pray for the right people to come into your life, and reach out, but just also understand that there are some people who they're like crabs in a bucket. They think that the pie gonna get divided more and more and still we have nothing or something like that. It's a very lack mindset. But at the same time, there's those of us who acknowledge kinship and relations and how important that is. So I would say just kind of go back to where your family's from, the last names, and sooner or later, you may catch somebody who goes, because that's what happens to me. I'll go to like Okanichi and, oh yeah, we got days in our family, so that's kind of how it goes.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's my cuz right there, right? That's my cuz.
Now you're
right
Gita.
there. Gita, that's my Gita. Right?
Yeah.
No doubt. No. Well, I want to thank you for coming to the show. This was very enlightening for me, and we'd like to continue to be enlightened, continue to push for greatness. Our people are great, and I think that we are more connected than we know.
Yes.
And I think if we lead that way, we lead with love, I think we'd be a better community, better society, better nation, better world,
Yes.
And so I just, there you go, right? So ladies and gentlemen, Dominique Day Makita. What'd you say it again?
Gita.
Magida. Magida right there. That's my
big, so
cuz.
big cuz.
No doubt. Sorry, no doubt. But I want to thank you I want to thank you for coming to the show. And we always say once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show. So you're always welcome to come back. Before we let you leave, tell them how they can get in contact with you, find you, and all that good old stuff.
Absolutely. You can find me at ddayhunter.com. And I'm on IG, Instagram, TikTok, even LinkedIn. D-Day Hunter, and that's D-D-A-Y-E at the end, Hunter. And reach out, y'all. I'll be happy to chat.
No doubt, no doubt. Call my cuz, y'all. Call her.
That'll be family.
No doubt. All right, y'all, we out of here. I don't want you to go nowhere. When we come back, we got the sizzle, y'all. Stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming up next. We've been here. I'm losing my voice, y'all. We'll be right back, y'all.
What's going on, you guys? This is Bridget Kelly, and you are locked into We Talk Weekly.
Weeklies After the Talk on WPP MLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
and the beautiful.
Lady Esther.
You already know what's coming up next. What's coming up next?
We got the sizzle.
We got the sizzle, y'all. Give it to me early.
All right, make sure you guys subscribe to We Talk Weekly on all social media and major podcast platforms. And if you want to support us, you can make a donation on our Cash App to $ We Talk Weekly. And you can also go to wetalkweekly.com, go to donate, and you can donate via PayPal. So Emmy nominated actor John Amos's death announcement came on October 1st, which was 45 days after he died. So a death certificate confirmed he died of congestive heart failure on August 21st. But according to reps for the actor, John Amos's final wish was to delay his death announcement to avoid his daughter turning it into a circus. So so just a little bit of backstory about that. In 2023, John Amos was hospitalized with fluid filling his body and affecting his heart. His daughter, Shannon Amos, alleged elder abuse and filed a complaint when he was hospitalized at that time. So she also created a GoFundMe to raise $500,000 in funds for medical care, housing, and expenses. Well, the son, whose name is
Junior?
well, they call him KC, but he's Kelly Christopher Amos, so they call him KC. He posted a video of John Amos in his hospital bed accusing the daughter of elder abuse. So John Amos was in the video saying that if anybody's doing the elder abusing, it's my daughter. So the GoFundMe was later removed, and the elder abuse investigation was technically unfounded. So John Amos's daughter and other family members and friends released a lengthy collective statement, part of which of the statement they said, "It is with profound sadness and distress that we must share the circumstances surrounding our father's passing. He was a loving man who brought light into the lives of many. However, our family only learned of his death today through media reports, only to discover he actually passed away 45 days ago. Shockingly, we were not notified, nor were any family members informed. The tragic news has left us in shock and heartache. We do not have a death certificate, nor do we know where or why he died, but we know he was suffering from congestive heart failure and dementia. We fear he was likely cremated to avoid any potential investigation into the conditions surrounding his final days." So, according to the full statement, because it was longer than that, the family believed John Amos's son KC and reps for John Amos, Eugene Brummett, and Belinda Foster neglected John Amos and kept him isolated from his family and friends until he died. So the family alleged they received photos from neighbors and a medical professional who, which prompted an elder abuse investigation, which was unfounded. I guess they kind of back explain in that part. But they also state that John Amos's son, KC's actions mirror the mother's passing when he prevented the family from being involved in her passing and her, and the arrangements and all that. So the family is basically asking why no medical professionals, coroners, or authorities notified them of John Amos's death, why he was cremated without their knowledge, and they suspect all this was done to change John Amos's will and collect any insurance and benefits that he left behind following his death. So they also stated KC had struggles with addiction and mental health issues. Casey and John Amos's reps have denied any wrongdoing in John Amos's treatment leading up to his death and cremation.
And Casey is the son.
Casey is the son. Yep. So a lot of people were just like, "Dag, you couldn't even tell your sister that her dad passed away, and then you want to try to say that this was his wish to put it off, the announcement to put it off until things calm down or whatever." I don't know. It was really shady, because I even went to her Instagram and you knew she didn't know, because on that day, I think he died the day before their mom's birthday. So on the mom's birthday, she posted something saying, "I miss you, Mom, da da da." And then she's posting regular stuff because she's like, I think she kind of does like this, I don't know what it is, like holistic treatment, like going over to other countries and relaxing, yoga, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not debating that she didn't know. I'm just, it's just you never know what goes on with families.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's two sides to every story, and it's the reason you didn't know.
Yeah, it just it's sad. Because technically, it's like people should be celebrating, like, oh, the legacy he left behind. He was in so many different of our Black America's favorite films and all that. And it's like,
you never know what people want, though. What they want or what they've asked for, or and for their final moments, or whether it's to be just let it go quietly or not. You never know what his asks were.
Yeah.
Did he have like a power of attorney or anything like that? Being as though he had dementia, you would think he would have somebody in charge of his affairs.
Yeah.
Was it the
son?
son?
I think he did have all of that stuff, but I think in the months because that was 2023 when he was hospitalized, and I think at that point that's when the son was there. And then I think from the time he passed away, I guess he probably didn't really have any communication with the daughter.
But the daughter is the one it's a dispute about in terms of whether or not she was mistreating him.
Well, that's what he said in the video. John Amos said in the video that the son made him put together, claiming that the daughter was the one that was the problem. So I don't know. It's just really, really messy.
Yeah.
It's really messy. So Diddy's investigation, which led to his arrest and sex trafficking and racketeering charges, put Hollywood on pins and needle in fear of what his case might expose. So there's apparently a male A-list celebrity who is currently unnamed and has become the subject of a sex tape with Diddy. So according to the reports, the male A-list celebrity is horrified to learn that a sex tape that was secretly filmed at a freak off without the celebrity's knowledge is being shopped around to media outlets. So the celebrity is unnamed because it's unclear if he was underage and a victim at the time or if he was an adult, so they haven't really named him. But sources closest to the celebrity told the New York Post, it's triggering. It feels like a betrayal and a violation, and it's causing a lot of issues. It brings up some really disturbing and bad memories, so all he could do is pray. He's praying that all this goes away. So the video footage...
A whole bunch of people are.
Exactly. They praying. But the video footage shows a man who appears to be Diddy having sex with a young male who appears to be this A-list celebrity. So both of their faces are clear and visibly seen in the video. So there's two major news organizations who are in a bidding war over the footage. So lawyer Ariel Mitchell Kidd, who is, she represents one of Diddy's 120 accusers. She stated, we're sooner rather than later finding out unless that person purchases the video themselves, which is really the goal of the people who had that video. If that person doesn't want to purchase it, is going to go on the open market. So the lawyer also said if the person is that concerned about seeing the light of day, or they're praying that it goes away, I can certainly tell that person prayer won't work in this situation. There's a thing of value that is for sale. The only way to control it is to have possession of it, and the only way to have possession of it is to purchase it.
That's BS because it's more than one copy.
It always is more than one copy.
Exactly. So I mean, like, come on.
It's always more than one copy. That's just crazy. I don't know. All right. So retired former Celebrity Sizzle Award of the Week goes to, don't worry about that. Retired former Philadelphia Eagles star Brian Dawkins. He has given back in a major way. That's my guy. Through his Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation in partnership with Caring People Alliance. Single parents can apply for a one-time $1,000 grant to fund an activity for a child that they otherwise couldn't afford. So if your child likes sports activities, you can apply as a single parent. And single parent families face an additional set of challenges as they support. This is Brian Dawkins saying this. Single parent families face an additional set of challenges as they support a household, often on one income, which has only been exacerbated by the pandemic. Through this program, we want to support parents who are working hard to help their children get ahead in life, but could use additional financial resources to do so. Youth enrichment and educational opportunities are vital means of helping families break generational cycles of poverty, and the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation is proud to launch the program in Philadelphia. So shout out to Brian Dawkins, he's done big things here in Philadelphia as a Philadelphia Eagle, and he is doing big things here as a Philadelphia philanthropist. Yeah, I'm tired. My tongue is
Tongue-tied.
yeah. So I'm your girl Lauren Sizzle, and that was the Sizzle.
And that was the Sizzle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your boy Charles Gregory, the beautiful.
Lauren Sizzle.
The beautiful.
Lady Esther.
And that's the show for the day. I want to make sure you tune in next week. And we have some more exciting interviews. But this is We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk. And we out here, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
We talk.